Hey guys, thank you for listening in to this episode of Tips with T. Today I have Mr. Bob Minhas here, and he is the creator of Fire Your Boss for Good. So, hi Bob, how are you today?
I'm wonderful, T. How are you? How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. It's so good to have you on the show today. So, tell us more about yourself and what you do as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so I have been an entrepreneur for 15 years, but I'm a two-time entrepreneur, which means that I was forced into it by job loss, tried to figure my way around, and then after my divorce, I eventually went back to the workforce. And after spending some more time, I realized I actually loved entrepreneurship, and so I made a plan and I figured everything out while I was employed, and decided to make the real leap to entrepreneurship. So although I've been doing this off and on for 15 years, my goal right now is to really help other people discover entrepreneurship for themselves.
That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
is that how that you created the concept of Fire Your Boss for Good?
Yeah, like it's an interesting story because again, I've been doing this for so long that I've developed so many skills. But when I would ask people as a part of market research, what is it you need help with? A majority of them would say, I just don't know where to start. So it wasn't even all of these things we talk about with digital marketing and websites and all of that. It was really just, Bob, how do I start? So the Fire Your Boss program came out of that concept is how do you get people to start building an expertise business using the expertise and actually build start as a side hustle and build something that replaces their full-time income. So I come from a world where entrepreneurship is all about take that leap, take that dive, take that chance. And I've got children, I've got commitments at my age. T, we don't take chances. So that works for them before they actually make that leap.
Good. Wow. Because a lot of people, they do tend to just want to take that leap, and sometimes you have to crawl before you can walk. You don't want to put yourself in a financial bind right then and there. You want to take your time sometimes, especially when you have other obligations such as a family and other people that's relying on you.
Yeah, I like to remind people if you've got a mortgage, marriage, or kids, you've got people that rely on what it is you're doing. So you really want to develop a plan. And the other part of it, T2, is when you take the time and really think about it. I meet a lot of people who are like, I want to be an entrepreneur because I hate my boss, or I hate commuting, or I hate getting up in the morning, whatever it is. And I remind them that you might think entrepreneurship has a greener grass, but it may not. And so when you plan it out, especially when you start out as a side hustler and you start, really dealing with customers and selling your stuff, you learn pretty quickly if you need to be an employee and to go back to the workforce. It's like, okay, I really enjoy this. I really love this, or there's too much stress and unknown here. This isn't for me. So that's why I encourage people to explore it first, to try it out before just making that jump.
Awesome. Now, I love
Hmm.
how you teach your clients how to create their own economy. So express or, explain that more, how you teach them.
Yeah. Yeah, so creating your own economy really came from this concept of as humans, let alone employees, we've become accustomed to relying on other things and people. And I don't mean that as a bad way. What I mean is, a lot of us rely on a lot of structures or institutions to tells us all the things we need to do when it comes to schooling, all the things we are regulated to do when it comes to banking. As we grow up, we're constantly told by institutions. We have so many people that are in the workforce that struggle to leave it. If you think about the matrix, it really is that concept of everything is built for you and around you. There really isn't a lot of room to move and grow. Now, the idea behind create your own economy is build a business that's simply reliant on what you do. Don't worry about all the other institutions and agencies that have impact and effect on you. You can actually build a business that builds enough revenue, gives you enough freedom, and of course feeds that inner soul, that inner happiness, so that you can live a life completely void and free that in. You can't get around taxation. Every government will always get you with taxes. But around that, you know what? So I'll give you a great example. So one entrepreneur I was working with, they were actually looking at getting insurance, life insurance. Now, they weren't the most healthiest of people, and they actually had some depression in their in their history. And when they applied for insurance, they were told, yeah, we'll give it to you at 10 times the rate you were quoted because there's a risk with your depression that you might kill yourself. Now imagine if, you know, that's your only solution to leave a financial nest egg for your family, right? So
Right.
here's where create your own economy comes in. If you can build enough revenue in a business, 5, 10, 15K, to put it into a savings account and or into another sort of high interest or growth account, and that alone can be the life insurance for your kids. Or you can build a business that's regularly generating 20K a month.
Mhm.
That could be something you will to your kids. Creating your own economy is about being your own person, autonomous from all these other institutions that forever T has had their fingers in all our little holes, controlling us in what we have to do. Again, except taxation, because I'm not going to jail for that. So you can't get around taxation, but you can get around every other component of institutions, right? Here, let's think of another example when it comes to healthcare. In Canada, our healthcare is paid for. In the US, you guys really have a paid system. So, you know, imagine even if you've got insurance, there are people that are getting 10, 20, $30,000 bills for healthcare from the hospital. You own your own company, and the idea here is you start building a nest egg, you start building a regular stream of revenue. You don't have to worry about going to the hospital or seeing a doctor, right? You create your own economy in that respect. So that's really what it's about. It's this overall system of how do you have autonomy over your own life outside of institution.
That's awesome. That is so
Yeah.
awesome that you teach your clients that. And it gives them a different perspective on how to view things and how to think out the box and how to realize, okay, I can create my own opportunities for myself instead of
Hmm.
just waiting around for them to be given to me. So find ways to create the economy that I need in order for me to be successful, in order for me to be able to leave something behind for my children. So that's awesome. That is awesome.
Absolutely. And really, when you create your own economy, it's relative to what your goals and vision are. Not everybody needs to make $2 million a year, T. Some people are happy making a really decent wage to put their kids into school and to have a comfortable life. Create your own economy really is relative to what it is your goals are personally. And that's why I love it, because you must see online marketers who are always, maybe that's not their goal. Maybe their goal is just to have a comfortable life.
Yes. So, what is the journey for entrepreneurship look like for you?
What it looked like, it was very bumpy. You hear it all the time. Never a smooth line.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea for me is, you know, when I started as a side hustler fixing computers. That's kind of how I built it. And then in 2008, we had a recession, and I lost my job, not because of the recession, but because I was a really crappy employee. And so when I lost my job, I kind of just forced into entrepreneurship. I was like, okay, well, I need to feed my family and figure this out. So I started to build a business around what I knew how to do, and it became about survival. It wasn't about building my own economy or creating my own economy. It was just about survival. How can I earn money to pay my bills?
Uh-huh.
And so I went through a lot of figuring stuff out on my own, and that company did actually pretty well. You know, I was featured on HGTV. I had huge clients here in Canada. It was really, really great until my marriage ended, and I realized I had not built a business that was resilient to change. So as long as I was in charge and everything was good, everything was fine. But I didn't build it to withstand external forecasts. And that's another thing that's important about creating your own economy. Economies change, things change, and you need to build a business that has some level of resilience to it. So then I ended up going back to the workforce, working for the government. And I did that for a period of time. And then I realized, you know, still having my side hustle, I realized I really committed to building that side hustle to a full-time income. And I made that leap. And truly, I've been on my own doing this for the last year. And at my age, it's really humbling to start from scratch, because the Fire Your Boss program is a completely different audience than the audience I had over the last 15 years. I've always dealt with existing entrepreneurs. This is the first time I've been dealing with people who are just corporate employees who are just starting out. So it's been fun and it's been interesting, but I'll tell you, it's been a huge impact on a lot of my awareness and mental health and all of that. And I'm grateful for it, because I'll tell you, I feel like I've evolved. I feel like the work that I've gone through with entrepreneurship in terms of learning how to cope, learning about critical thinking, learning who to trust, understanding taxation, understanding all of these elements that we tend to ignore, has made me a more resilient business owner. So now when I hit, not that I have yet, but when I hit resistance or when I hit trouble, I know that this is a business that's going to be somewhat resilient against that. But more importantly, I'm actually happy. I actually love what I do. I jump out of bed and I'm like, this is another day I get to do really great things. So, it hasn't been a smooth journey. I've been really blessed to have some really great supportive people around me this time. And I'm always investing in learning, Like, I'm always figuring out what is it I need to learn and what do I need to do and who do I need to outsource to and who do I need to trust. So it's been a bit easier this time. The first time it was really not a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's always good when you can be able to be an entrepreneur and do what you love to do every day. Um,
Right.
and for me, like I'm trying to make my side hustle my main hustle because
Yeah.
I love helping people. I love
Mm.
giving back. I love educating people on, taxation, bookkeeping, things that
Mm-hmm.
you can avoid, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
as scary as it looks. Um,
Mm-hmm.
just getting someone to actually teach you that you can trust, more about the taxation of your business. So um, it is a journey from when you're
Mm-hmm.
transitioning from you making your side hustle your main hustle. It really is a journey and it can be challenging. But the main thing is for me is to not give up because that's what I'm very passionate about. I'd rather fail at something that I'm passionate about than fail at something
Mm-hmm.
that I really can care less about as far as being on a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Being on a 9 to 5 that I'm just going and just filling a position like it's not giving me any purpose. So
Well, that's it. And you're not having impact and you're not, helping the world that you want to help. And I think when you do something that you love to do, resiliency is a lot stronger. It's a lot easier to get up when you've been knocked down. Whereas, in a 9 to 5, when you get knocked down, some people stay down, and they just go to work with their head down and they're just there to survive. And that leads into us as children of our aging parents. So I think you've hit it on the head. You really need to find something that excites you.
yes, really do. I mean, I'm honestly, I know entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but I
Mm-hmm.
actually do look at people and I'm like questioning how can you be on this job for 40 years and do nothing else? Like is this fulfilling to you? Like is this but
Yeah.
I mean I guess it's fulfilling to them. But to me, I'm just like, I don't think I can stay here just like job for
Mm-hmm.
years for the rest of my life or till I retire and then decide then that's when I want to live my life. No, I want to be able to work and still live my life and create my own legacy to leave behind to my children or, my children's children or, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so
Sometimes it's all we know, right? Like sometimes all we know is that world of work. It's all
mhm,
we know is that 9 to 5. A lot of us were taught, you have to get good grades so that you can go to a good school, so that you can get a good job, so that
mhm,
you can have a good marriage, so that you can have lots of kids, and so you can have a great retirement. And we're taught this step-by-step process. But you see, in 2020, in our economy today, that process doesn't work anymore.
no,
Not even just the internet, but we as a species have evolved,
mhm,
and we crave more. We want more. And I think, as we see the millennial generation and as we see Generation Z come into the world as our leaders, I think we need to start being aware of how do we integrate the two? Because for a long time, you're either an entrepreneur or you're an employee. That
right.
doesn't exist anymore in 2020. There are a lot, I call it the fluidity of entrepreneurship, the idea that you can flow as an independent contractor, you can work for someone, you can be a side hustler. It's no different than, and I like to use the example of gender identity, right? So we're in a world that has non-binary gender identity. Entrepreneurship is no different. You can't say I'm a full-time entrepreneur or I'm a full-time employee. And I think the world I think our corporate structures and our institutions haven't caught up to that way of thinking. And so that's why you see people staying somewhere for 40 years. They just don't know any better. And even if you showed them a world where that was different, they're terrified, T. They're just terrified.
Mhm.
Whereas, the generation that comes up like you guys are like so brave and courageous. Like, you want to do something and you're willing to try and make that effort. That's our world. That's what's coming. And I guarantee you in the next 10 years, the jobs we see today that colleges and universities are taking lots of money to train you for aren't going to exist anymore. And the people who are going to survive in the job market are the ones with entrepreneurial skills. And
Right.
that's why I talk about that fluidity, critical thinking, the ability to network, the ability to connect with people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people don't see it like that. I'm just like, what if something happens to where your job is no longer needed? What are you gonna do? And
that's
it's
a
just like,
reality.
well, I haven't thought about that. I'm like, well, that's why you go out and you create your own opportunities. Find what you're good at. Find if there's a need for it in your community or
Mhm.
whatever. So that way you can be able to have some type of source of income coming in other than just having a regular 9 to 5. Cause like
Mhm.
with me too, I lost my job at the hospital due to me not being able to return
Mm.
from Hurricane Florence. But
Mhm.
because I already kind of had my business as a side hustle, I was like, okay, well, this is what I'm really more passionate about anyway. Let me do
Yeah.
this, and start working on this and make this my side hustle, my main hustle. Because
Mhm.
to be honest, I was like an eye opener for me, and I was just like, I really wasn't happy at that job, no way. So maybe
Mhm.
it was
Mhm.
like a blessing in disguise. So.
No, you're absolutely right. Sometimes the universe brings to us what we need, right? That's really
Mhm.
the objective. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm gonna share your social handles. Tell us how we can
Yes.
get in contact with you if we want to render your services.
You can find me on Facebook under Fire Your Boss for Good, or you can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Bob Minhas. I'm a huge fan of connecting with people on a personal level. So please feel free to use the brand links there that T has been so kind enough to put together, or just search my name, Bob Minhas. I love connecting with people, and I want to hear your stories. I'm grateful if you need my services, but I'm just happy to hear your stories. That's really what I'm after.
Awesome. And you guys, if you want to contact me, my contact information, my number is 910-317-0396. You can email me at contact@mjfinancial.biz. You can schedule a consultation on my website. And you guys, you can also find this episode on Anchor. So if you want to go and you want to listen to it, you can't watch a video and drive. You can go back and listen to the video on Anchor. And thank you once again, Bob, for coming on. It's just a pleasure to have you on the episode today, sharing your knowledge and your wisdom. I
Thank
look
you.
forward
Thank
to
you
having
so
you back
much.
on the show again.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, T. Thank you so much.
Well, all right, you guys, we will see you on the next episode of Tips with T.